Nation has seen many challenges, including economic struggles and war. But in this particular episode, we'll be talking about the Prohibition.
In my eyes, the Prohibition was really a call for help.
In 1919, the government passed a law that banned the import and export of alcoholic beverages. It was called the Prohibition. The success of the Prohibition was that families had more money to pay taxes. A failure of the Prohibition was that it gave organized crime a jump start, making criminals like Al Capone millionaires. The annual death rate lowered greatly, as well as the unorderly conduct arrest rate went down 50%.
In 1919, the number of legislators of the states ratified the 18th Amendment to the federal Constitution, enabling the national prohibition. Within notability of the Women's Christian Temperance Union, they had been very important in the bringing of the U.S. their prohibition. They believed it would protect families, protect them from the abuse of women and children from the fathers and husbands who've been out drinking. Open the beer bottles and they break them open and they pour them into the sewers, into the streets. The Prohibition divided the country in two, people who supported it and the people who didn't. People turned to crime for their alcohol because they couldn't get it otherwise, they went to bootleggers. They also turned to underground illegal bars called speakeasies. For these places, you had to get passwords to get in. Because of all the bootlegging being illegal, and people didn't really want to get their elbows too deep in it, they called people in the black market. So people so called as Al Capone. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre was when well-dressed men were found dead with bullets in them, except for one man, Frank. This took place in the SMC Cartage garage, when manslaughter was taking place. The men were all lined up against the wall. This was because Al Capone supposedly took two of his men, and possibly him, and dressed up as fake police officers.
George, is that you? Hello, boys. Something I can do for you?
Yeah, you can shut up. Now line up, all of you, face that wall. You, over there. Come on, move.
No way.
You, all right, you two, let's go. Listen, Buster, you better be kidding. Move.
Nosy flat-feet. Wait till you hear about this downtown.
Move! Hey, you! You on the car!
Later research proved that alcohol-related deaths was a main cause in the 1920s. 700 people died in New York alone just because of alcohol-related deaths in 1920, then 85 in 1927. Rum fleets passed through the oceans to get liquor past the Coast Guard. And the people that didn't like the Prohibition, they were allowed to shoot first and ask questions later. In the 1920s, a very high leading cause of organized crime, including the black market and the mafia, was the Prohibition. It started people like Al Capone. Crime rate got so high, the lawyers spent 50% of their time, even more, working just on alcohol-related crimes. Some people are so convinced that alcohol was the main cause of virtually all crime that on the night of the Prohibition, some towns actually sold their jails. During the Prohibition, the temperance activists hired a scholar to write the Bible by removing all references to alcoholic beverages. The KKK, or otherwise known as the Ku Klux Klan, strongly supported the Prohibition and its strict enforcement. Because the temperance movement taught alcohol was a poison, supporters insisted that school books never mentioned the contradictory fact that alcohol was commonly prescribed by physicians for medical health. Prohibition often advocated strong measures against those who did not comply with prohibition. One suggested that the government distribute poisoned alcohol beverages through the bootleggers, sellers of illegal alcohol, and acknowledged that several 100,000 Americans would die as a result. Others suggested that those who drink should be hung by the tongue beneath an airplane and flown over the country, exiled into concentration camps, excluded from any and all churches, forbidden to marry, tortured, whipped, branded, sterilized, tattooed, placed in bottle-shaped cages in front of public squares so people could throw things at them, forced to swallow 2 ounces of castor oil. Prohibition clearly benefited some people, like notorious bootlegger Al Capone and Gambino. They made around $60 million per year, untaxed, while the average industrial worker earned less than $1,000 per year.